The knife didn't slice into the wood, it crunched. That's the sound of desperation steel driving into frozen oak because your legs have resigned from the job of keeping you alive. Dela Mallister didn't feel her feet. She hadn't felt them since the creek crossing 3 miles back. She just drove the blade of the hunting knife into the barn door, hooked her gloved fingers over the handle, and hauled her dead weight forward. She was an anchor dragging itself through hell. On her hip, Jasper was a furnace, his small body radiating a fever that terrified her more than the frostbite. Strapped to her chest, underneath the last coat she owned, Nora was too quiet. A 3-month-old baby shouldn't be this silent. And inside her, the 3rd unborn one kicked against her ribs with the frantic energy of a drowning swimmer. They were running out of time. They were running out of blood. They were running out of road. Dela didn't pray. She had left God back in Colorado, buried in the frozen dirt alongside a pine box she couldn't afford. She just pulled the knife out, slammed it higher, and dragged. If your heart is already hammering against your ribs, if you can feel that biting cold, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications. Because where this story goes next isn't just about survival, it's about the brutal price of a second chance. And let me know in the comments what's the hardest thing you've ever had to walk away from. Now, let's go back. Wyoming Territory, December 1887. Let's see what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Dela didn't knock. You don't knock when you're dying. She hit the door with her shoulder, the full weight of her body, her children, and her exhaustion crashing against the timber. The door didn't give. It swung open. The man filling the frame was a wall of shadow and flannel, holding a lantern that blinded her. He was big, the kind of big that comes from lifting timber and breaking rocks, not from a gymnasium. Dark hair, gray at the temples, eyes that looked like they hadn't seen a surprise in a decade. Dela didn't beg. She didn't cry. She didn't have the moisture left in her body for tears. She looked him dead in the eye, swaying on feet that felt like wooden blocks, and stripped away every lie she'd ever told herself. "My boy is burning up," she rasped, her voice sounding like gravel in a tin can, "and I can't carry him another step." The man didn't blink. He looked at her face skin cracked from the wind. He looked at Jasper, limp on her hip. He looked at the lump under her coat that was Nora. He looked at the swell of her belly, 8 months heavy. He did the math of their survival in a fraction of a second. He stepped back. "Get in," he said. 3 words. "No, who are you? No, what do you want?" Just the command. The heat from the stove hit her like a physical blow, a wall of warmth that almost sent her to her knees. For the first time since she buried her husband, Della felt her throat close up, but she swallowed it down. She walked into the light. Cole Hargrove shut the door, and the screaming wind vanished, replaced by the crackle of pine logs and the smell of stale coffee. "Put him here." Cole was already moving, stripping his own heavy coat off and laying it on the rug before the hearth, by the fire. No, Dela knelt. It was an agony. Her knees hit the floorboards, and she unpeeled Jasper from her side. His eyes rolled back, glassy and unfocused. "Mama," a whimper. "I'm here." She touched his forehead. It was like touching a stove. "I'm right here. You got blankets?" She threw the question over her shoulder without looking. Chest under the window. She heard the heavy lid creak. A moment later, thick wool landed beside her. She wrapped Jasper tight, the way he liked it, terrified that the heat wouldn't penetrate the cold that had soaked into his bones. Nora stirred against her chest. A small protesting squeak. Della nearly collapsed with relief. The baby was alive. She opened her coat, shifting the sling. Nora, sensing the warmth, immediately started rooting, demanding food. Smart girl. She had her father's eyes and her mother's stubborn refusal to die. The man, Cole, crouched on the other side of Jasper. He held out a tin cup of water. His hands were scarred, calloused, the knuckles swollen from work, but he touched the boy with a reverence that didn't match the roughness of his face. "How long on the fever?" he asked. "Yesterday noon." "Is he keeping water down?" "When he's awake." Cole nodded. He pressed the back of his hand to Jasper's cheek. "Hi, but I've seen worse. We need to break it." He looked up, his eyes locking onto hers. "You got a name?" "Dila Mallister. This is Jasper. The baby is Nora." She hesitated, hand hovering over her stomach. "And there's another one coming. Soon." "I know," he said. "No judgment, just observation. Cole Hargrove, this is my land." "I saw the light," she said. "I wasn't going to stop. I didn't want to intrude." "You didn't have a choice," Cole said flatly. "You stop or you die. You made the right call." He stood up, his knees cracking. "I'll heat some broth. When did you eat last?" "We're fine." He looked at her then, a look that cut right through the pride she was trying to wrap around herself like armor. "I didn't ask if you were fine, Mrs. Mallister. I asked when you ate. Yesterday morning." Cole turned to the stove. Dila watched him. He moved with a solitary efficiency. One cup on the shelf, one chair at the table. A cabin kept meticulously clean but utterly void of comfort. It was the home of a man who was waiting out the clock. Then she saw the door, down the short hallway past the kitchen. A heavy oak door with a simple iron latch. It was closed. But it wasn't just closed, it felt sealed. There was a stillness radiating from it, a heavy silence that Della recognized instantly. She had a box like that back in Colorado, a box she couldn't open. She knew what that door meant. Cole returned with bowls. Salt pork broth, thick and greasy, and dense cornbread. He sat on the floor opposite her, eating without ceremony. "Eat," he ordered. "The baby needs it." Delate. She ate like a wolf, tearing into the bread, ignoring the crumbs, ignoring manners. Survival doesn't have manners. "Well, leave in the morning," she said when the bowl was empty. Cole poked the fire. "No. You want. I can't stay here. I can't pay you." "Did I ask for payment?" He didn't look at her. Storm settling in. "Temperature is dropping 20 degrees tonight. The drifts on the ridge will be 6 feet deep by dawn. You go out there with a sick boy and a newborn, you're digging 3 graves before lunch." Dila stared at him. She wanted to fight. She wanted to scream that she didn't need charity. But she looked at Jasper, sleeping fitfully. She looked at the snow piling up against the window glass. "Why?" she asked. "Why help us?" Cole paused. He looked at the fire, and for a second the mask slipped. "Because it's the right thing. And because I've been wrong about keeping the door shut before." His eyes flickered to the hallway, to the closed room. "My wife," he said, the words brittle. "Eleanor. 6 years ago." "I'm sorry," Della whispered. "Long time ago." He stood up, abruptly cutting off the intimacy. "You take the bedroom. I'll sleep in the barn." "No," Dila said. "I'll stay by the fire with Jasper. It's your house. The stove needs wood at 2 a.m. I'll be up. I'll be up with Nora." He looked at her, really looked at her, and a hint of respect ghosted across his face. "If the boy gets worse, wake me. Don Beaero. I want." "Latch on the bedroom door is broken," he added. "Just jam a chair under the handle if it makes you feel safer." He walked out into the swirling white dark. Dila listened to his boots crunch away. She jammed the chair under the door handle. Not because she feared Cole Hargrove, but because she had made a vow over Roy's grave. Asterisk, nobody hurts us again. Asterisk, that night, the wind howled like a grieving woman. Inside, Jasper's fever broke. Dila felt the heat snap, his skin cooling to a clammy sweat. He woke up, asked for water, and went back to sleep. Dila leaned back against the hearthstone. She looked at the ceiling beams. She looked at the closed door down the hall. She realized why Cole had let them in without hesitation. It wasn't kindness. It was recognition. He saw a person carrying a burden they couldn't put down, and he knew exactly how heavy it was. Morning broke with a light so white it hurt the eyes. The storm had passed, leaving the world scoured and buried. Dila was up before the sun, pacing the floor with a fussy Nora, when Cole came in from the barn, shaking snow from his shoulders like a grizzly bear. He found coffee waiting. "You didn't have to do that," he said, eyeing the steaming cup. I was awake. You look like you slept on the floor. I did. He drank the coffee. He watched Nora batting at the air. Roads won't be clear for 4 days, he said. Dila had already done the math. 4 days of food. 4 days of intrusion. Ill work, she said. Cooking, mending, cleaning. I don't take handouts. Fair enough. The days bled into a rhythm that terrified Dila because it felt too easy. Too natural. Cole wasn't a talker, but he was a listener. He fixed the fences, she fixed the clothes. But it was Jasper who bridged the gap. The boy bounced back from the fever with the resilience of a rubber ball, and he attached himself to Cole like a shadow. Can I see the horses? Jasper asked on the second day. Cole looked at Della. She nodded. Boots on, Cole said. They went out to the barn. When they came back, Jasper was babbling about a mare named Grace. Mr. Cole says Grace decides who she likes, Jasper announced, eyes wide. He says you can't force a horse to trust you. You just gotta earn it. Dila was stirring a pot of beans, her back to them. She froze. Asterisk, you can't force trust. You earn it. Asterisk, that afternoon she sat mending a tear in Cole's heavy coat. My husband wasn't a horseman, she said suddenly. He was a miner. He knew rock. He knew structure. Cole stopped oiling a harness. Mining's hard work. The timber failed, she said. The company used green wood. He told them. They didn't listen. Cole set the harness down. I'm sorry. I was angry for a long time, Dila said, pulling the thread tight. But anger doesn't put food on the table. So I stopped. She looked up at him. The door, she said. Down the hall. Cole went rigid. I am not prying, she said quickly, but I had a box. After Roy died. Couldn't open it for months. Kept his watch inside. I thought if I opened it, I was admitting he was really gone. Cole stared at her, his face unreadable. Eleanor, he said. The name hung in the air, heavy and sacred. We wanted children. Trying for 3 years. She finally carried. Died in the birthing. Baby boy went with her. Dila stopped breathing for a second. I built that room, Cole said, his voice rough. Painted it. Made the cradle. After, I couldn't go in. Couldn't take it apart. So I shut the door. 6 years? Dila asked gently. 6 years. The silence that followed was empty. It was filled with the shared understanding of what it means to be left behind. Then Jasper looked up from his toy blocks. When Mama is sad, she makes biscuits. Cole blinked. He looked at Dela. Dela felt a blush creep up her neck. Is that right? Cole asked. It's a habit, Dela muttered. I like biscuits, Cole said. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. If you were inclined, I might be inclined. That night they ate biscuits. And for the first time in forever, the darkness outside the cabin didn't feel like an enemy. It just felt like night. But peace is a fragile thing in the territory. On the 4th day, a rider appeared. A man in black, riding a bay gelding, sitting tall in the saddle with the posture of a man who believes God is whispering directly into his ear. Reverend Pwitt, Cole said, watching through the window. He saw the smoke. Is he trouble? Dila asked. He's the kind of man who thinks he's protecting the town by judging everything in it. Cole turned to her. You stay here. No, Dila said. I've been handling men like that since I was 17. She walked out onto the porch, standing shoulder to shoulder with Cole. The Reverend dismounted. He had pale eyes and a mouth that looked like it had never tasted sugar. Cole, he said, nodding. Then his eyes slid to Della, to her belly, to the lack of a ring, to the children peering through the window. News travels, Pewitt said. Heard you had guests. Dela Mallister, Dela said, cutting him off. Widow, caught in the storm. Mr. Hargrove saved our lives. Pewitt didn't look convinced. Mrs. Mallister, you must understand how this looks. A single woman, a single man, isolated. It looks like survival, Reverend Cole said, his voice low and dangerous. There is a county home in Clearwater, Pwitt said, stepping closer. For women in difficult straits, it would be more appropriate. I am not going to a poorhouse, Della said. I have my dignity. Dignity is a luxury, Mrs. Mallister. Morality is a necessity. Jasper pushed open the door. He walked out holding his toy horse and looked up at the tall man in black. Are you the bad man? Pwitt flinched. Excuse me? Mr. Henderson said the bad man wears a black coat and tells people what to do. Pwitt turned 50 shades of red. Cole crossed his arms, and for a split second he looked like he might laugh. Ill pray for your soul, Mrs. Mallister, Pwitt hissed. He mounted his horse and rode off, stiff as a poker. Hell tell the town, Cole said, watching the dust settle. By Sunday, everyone in Clearwater Creek will know you're here. They'll talk. Let them talk, Deela said. I stopped caring what people thought of me when I had to beg for credit at the general store. Cole looked at her. You're a strong woman, Deela. I had to be. The shift happened that evening. Nora was screaming a colic cry, sharp and unending. Deela walked the floor, her back aching, her exhaustion a physical weight. Cole stood up from his chair. Give her here. She's fine, I just give her to me. He took the baby. His hands were massive around her, but gentle. He started to hum, a low, rumbling vibration in his chest. No tune, just a steady, rhythmic sound. Nora stopped crying. She blinked, looked at this giant stranger, and fell asleep. Deela slumped into a chair. She watched him holding her daughter. You're good at that. Eleanor used to say I had a rancher's stillness, Cole said softly. Animals like it. Babies too, I guess. She was right. Cole looked down at the sleeping infant. I think about it sometimes. What kind of father I would have been. You would have been a good one, Deela said. Cole went still. He looked at her, and the air in the room changed. It wasn't just gratitude anymore. It was something terrifyingly real. When the road clears, Cole said, Where will you go? I don't know. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. I haven't looked at that closed door once today, Cole said, his voice dropping to a whisper. Without thinking about opening it. The admission hung between them. But life doesn't wait for romantic realizations. Life waits for 2:00 a.m. The pain woke her. A vice grip around her middle, squeezing the breath out of her lungs. Deela gasped, sitting up. She knew this pain. She'd felt it twice before. She knocked on Cole's door. He opened it instantly, pistol in hand, eyes wide. What? It's time, she said. He didn't panic. He didn't argue. He holstered the gun and shifted into gear. Water. Towels. Ill stoked the fire. Cole, she grabbed his arm. The contraction hit and she bent double. The doctor is 12 miles away. I know. I've done this before. But I need you to not fall apart. He looked at her. Tell me what to do. The next 6 hours were a blur of lamplight, sweat, and agony. Cole was a rock. He fetched, he held, he cleaned. When Nora woke up screaming, he held the baby against his chest with one arm while wiping Della's forehead with the other, humming that low, steady note. You're doing good, Della. You're doing good. I can't, she sobbed at the transition. I can't do it. You are doing it. You're right here. Look at me. She looked into his eyes, dark and steady as the earth itself, and she found the strength. At 4:17 a.m., a cry shattered the cabin's quiet. A furious, wet, indignant squall. Cole held the slippery, squirming infant in his hands. He looked down and, tear-silent, unashamed, tracked through the stubble on his cheeks. It's a girl, he choked out. Deela, she's perfect. He wrapped the baby and laid her on Deela's chest. Deela looked at the scrunched face, the dark hair. She needs a name, Deela whispered. She looked at Cole. She looked at the hallway, at the shadow of the closed door. Eleanor, Deela said. Cole froze. Della, you don't have to, Eleanor rose. If it suits you. Cole let out a breath that sounded like a sob breaking free. It suits, he whispered. It suits just fine. 3 days later, the sun melted the last of the road drifts. The path to town was open. Cole stood on the porch, staring at the muddy track. Deela came out holding little Eleanor Rose. The baby was squinting against the morning light. Road's clear, Cole said. He didn't look at her. It is. I can hitch the wagon, take you to the train in Cheyenne. Dila looked at the profile of this man who had saved them, fed them, birthed her child and given her his dead wife's name for a blessing. I need to ask you something, Dala said, and I need an honest answer. No charity. He turned. Ask. I come with 3 children. One who talks about Beatles all day, one who doesn't sleep, and one who is brand new. I have no money. I have a reputation that the Reverend has already ruined. She stepped closer. Is that what you want? The noise? The mess? Cole looked at the baby. He looked at Jasper playing in the snow by the barn. He looked at the grave markers under the cottonwood tree the past he had honored, but was finally ready to stop living in. I spent 6 years with Quiet, Cole said. Quiet nearly killed me. He reached out, his hand hovering near hers, not touching but close enough to feel the heat. I don't want you to leave, Dila. I want to open the door. For real this time. Dila smiled. It was the first time she had genuinely smiled in a year. Then hitch the wagon, she said. To the train? To town, she said. We need supplies. And I want Mrs. Holt at the general store to meet Eleanor Rose. And I want to look Silas Pewitt in the eye and tell him we're staying. Cole grinned. A real, wide, handsome grin that took 10 years off his face. Yes, Mom, he said. They walked into town like an invasion force. Cole driving, Jasper waving at the horses, Dila holding the new baby high. They ignored the stares. They ignored the whispers. When they got back to the ranch, the sun was setting, painting the snow in shades of violet and gold. Cole helped her down. He carried Jasper inside. Dila stood at the door for a moment. She looked back at the road she had spent months running on, the road that had almost killed her. She stepped inside and shut the door against the cold. The latch clicked. It sounded like permanence. Some storms come to destroy you. But sometimes, if you're lucky, and if you're brave enough to keep walking when your legs have stopped working, the storm just drives you to the only door that was ever waiting for you to knock. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, if you believe in second chances and the strength of the human spirit, smash that like button. It helps the channel more than you know. And don't forget to subscribe. I've got a story coming next week about a gold miner's revenge that you are not going to want to miss. Until then, keep the fire lit.